So welcome back to another episode of Geared, and this is part 9 of my K20 Clio 182. Something that I promised a long time ago is to do a rundown and a price of what I've actually spent on getting this to how it is today. Also at the end of the video I'll chuck in a few regrets or things that I'd have changed and maybe wish I would have done during the build, so hopefully that will help you guys out if you're planning on building one of these. I haven't totaled it all up yet, but I'm going to lead on from the last video, which I think was about part 2 or part 3, where the engine hadn't even gone in and I was over 5 grand's worth of stuff. So we go in the garage and I'll sort of try and run around the car a little bit as I'm going through it, and we'll see how it turns out, but I hope you enjoy this one. So here she is then, in her former glory, just chilling after Donington Park. She's had a clean. If you haven't watched part 8, which is when we went to Donington Park and done the first track day, make sure you give that a watch, because this really held its ground against some real nice cars, and I was well impressed with how she performed. But a couple of things that we did add, if you can see it, the light's not great in here. Shout out to my mate Ben at Turn 12 Fabrication, supplied me with a nice plug cover, and then we also put a ram air breather filter on the end. I mean, eventually, you know, you can go catch can and everything, but at the moment I'm quite happy with just running a breather on it like that. So if you have been watching this, you realise that it has taken a little bit longer than anticipated, and to be honest, it's probably cost a little bit more than I was anticipating as well. So I think you'll probably be in shock. I mean, I'm looking at the numbers now and they're frazzling my head. But anyway, we'll go into the car. So OMP wheel. I'm pretty sure it's a 300mm wheel, that. I don't think it's a 330. So I actually bought that off Facebook. It was brand new, it was never used, with the boss, and that was £85. So yeah, fits a treat. So much better than the bus steering wheel that comes with it. So onto something that I really like, and I think it sets the bay off really well, is the inlet manifold. So that inlet manifold is a Skunk 2 Ultra Street inlet manifold, and that was bought from Tegura, and that was £466.33, and that was on a good deal. That was on, I think, about 15 or 20% off day. Now some of these deals that I've managed to get and prices that I've got, I mean, as you know, prices have just gone through the roof with some things, so some things may be a little bit more expensive now, but back then I got it on quite a good deal, and yeah, it sits lovely, really nice. It is tight, but it fits along with that throttle body. So going onto the throttle body, that is a Bosch 74mm throttle body, and as I said in the previous video, they actually use these on the, I think it's one of the Porsches, Porsche 997 I believe. They use this electronic throttle body, and that is fly-by-wire. Now these are really shot up in price last time I've seen, but I managed to get this for £108.50, which I think is a pretty good deal. I did have to have an adapter plate made up for that, which I think was about £60, so it would fit onto that inlet manifold. But yeah, it fits really nice and flush, which is good. Shifter cables. Now this is one of the things that I sort of wish that I'd have searched a little bit more, but I'll go on to it a little bit later. Is, as you can see, they are very long. These are hybrid racing shifter cables, and they fit onto the hybrid racing shifter that I've got inside of the car. Now these are really good, but I wish they'd have been a little bit shorter, because as you can see, they do loop round. Now you might be able to get some custom made ones, and I think they'd sit a lot better. It's just a bit of a nag for me, just seeing it like that, but they do work, and as long as they work, that is completely fine. So they were £310.58. Now bear in mind, if you're getting things from the United States, they're in I think it was like about $390. You will get some import tax of some sort, so just bear that in mind white line rear anti-roll bar. So these, I managed to get this on quite a good deal as well, I think. So these white line rear anti-roll bars sit so low on the back of these. Can you see it? So this was £174, but I feel that has really transformed, especially the way it turns in. So the next one is an Odyssey battery, which we have not got anymore. We have done away with the Odyssey battery. Let me just open this. And we've gone for a full-size battery. Now the Odyssey battery just didn't have the cranking amps that was required for everything, but the Odyssey battery was £136.34, and that included the cage, and that was also on a good deal from Tegura at the time. So yeah, I mean, luckily I managed to sell it on. One of my mates is using it. It runs absolutely fine on his Seat Ibiza, I think. So shout out to Matt. So headlights. So this Clio is classed as a full fat Clio, and it came with xenon headlights, but they were an absolute mess, and I just thought black headlights would look a lot better. And to be fair, I'm quite impressed with how they are. So these headlights were, I think they were from eBay, and they were £75.95, and nice and fresh. So induction pipe and filter. Right, and we should have done this when we'd done the throttle body, but never mind. So that pipe alone with the filter was in total £55.61, which wasn't too bad. Breather filter, just that one on the end, should have gone through that as well, but that was £7.99. Brand new harnesses, right, where are they? Got them. So these are actually brand new. They were just left in the box for ages. I actually bought these off my cousin, never been used. I think they're 4-point. I think they're 4-point harnesses. No, I think they might be 5-point. So 5-point harnesses by Sebel, and luckily managed to get them off my cousin. Yes, they have expired. I mean, they expired in 2011, so you know they are old, but for track days and stuff you can still use them, not a problem. And I paid £100 for them. And some of you might have noticed I've had a different rocker cover. There weren't nothing wrong with the other one, but Spooner Restorations, shout out to Paul at Spooner Restorations, he has actually closed down his rocker cover refurbishment business, and he's gone on to do something else now. But this was one of his last rocker covers that he'd done, and it was in wrinkle red. Like, it is really nice quality, really impressed with it, and I had to just get my hands on one. I just think it sets it off really nice, and yeah, proper job with that. So that was quite expensive because he supplied the rocker cover as well. That was £191.50. I mentioned about the battery, so I had to get a new Yuasa battery that I ended up exchanging for an Exide one that was at street races at the time, and that was £100. So that was just something that I didn't really cater in for, but it's just one of them things. Now on to the next bit. Rear axle bushes, and they were Powerflex Black Series, and they were £70 for the rear, and I ordered them through my mate Chris Pickering, so thank you very much for them. Now on to the next bit, and this is where the main bit comes in. Custom production. Without custom production, Danny, this would not have been possible. Danny has been absolute golden from the moment I spoke to him up until now. I mean, he's a good mate of mine now, and I can't thank him enough for what he's done and all the amount of time and effort he has put into that. Make sure you go onto their Facebook and give them a follow, because they've got some big plans for some of their cars that they're doing. But they are the reason why this has been done, and yes, they did develop the kit on this as well. So prices are for the following. Now, as I said, prices can vary depending on what sort of thing you want. I mean, you can go all out with fuel systems, and Custom Production can do it. You tell them what you want and they will do it. You know, it's one of them, but the more you want doing, obviously the more it's going to cost. So for the K-swap kit, I will put a list up right now on the screen of what the K-swap kit includes. So this is from Custom Production, and that is what it includes in with the price. So the price is £2,895, and that is the standard price for the kit with everything that is displayed on the screen. However, they have kindly offered to give me a discount code, so if you do want to get this kit and you want to do it all yourself, you can use Luke K20 as your discount code, and that will give you some money off. So onto the labour. Now, Custom Production, as you're aware, fitted all of this for me. These prices all include the VAT as well, so this is just for the labour, £3,600, and that is to get it all in, and that is everything fitted into that bay. Just going to walk down the side of the car so you don't get bored of seeing the same thing. So you also need a used pedal box. Now these are about £150 for a used pedal box. They're not a Renault pedal box, they are from a different car. Again, Custom Production can provide this. They also done me a fuel system. Now, as you know, fuel systems can range from a couple of £100 to £3,000-4,000 upwards, depending on swell pots, etc. So the one that I had put in was a Kemso 340 pump, return line, so all the fittings and everything. The sender was £500. So that's a fairly basic fuel system, but it works fine. On to the next is the E-Pass. So I've had some electronic power assisted steering put in. Now if you ever drove a car, or especially a Clio, without power steering, you'll realise that it feels like you're driving a tank. It's very heavy on your arms, and it's better when you're moving, but driving it on the road, which is what I do with this, it can really wear you out. So you can have an E-Pass put in, and that's the power steering, the rack, the loop, and all the blanking plugs, along with all the kit, and that is £200. Switch the view up a little bit. So onto the next thing is the wiring loom. So everything to make Honda and Renault to work together. Now, as you may be aware, Street Racer's done mine and they're mapped in the ECU, but you can also have this done at Custom Production as well, and that will cost you £700 for the wiring loom. They also done an exhaust for me. Now this can range depending on what you want, but mine was £1,080, and that was a full custom exhaust from the downpipe. So all the way through, 3-inch all the way through from the manifold, the exhaust manifold, and there's had a few boxes put in as well, which obviously racked up the price a little bit, but you need it more so to tone the noise down on track. But it just depends on what you want to do and how you want to go about it. So I also had the front and rear beam. So I had the front subframe powder coated and the rear beam powder coated as well, and this cost me £432. So Clios are now about 16 years old in this sort of shape, so yeah, they are getting on a little bit. If you have a look at them underneath, they can be quite bad, quite badly corroded, so that is why I managed to get that done. So ECU and mapping, I'm going to switch the camera around now. So ECU mapping, again, Street Racer's done mine, but you can also have this done for about £920. So that is the ECU Master Black. And that is what I'm running on this one now to make everything work. So they've got all the canvas data there ready to actually get the clocks working. Everything that you need is on there. Now, something that I went and picked these up recently. Just have a little look. So the seats, I've also got seats in there now. So I just got some nicer, fresh, lower mileage seats for it. I think they're out of a 60,000 mile Clio, and I paid £150 for them. So they'll be going in at some point very soon. The next thing, and probably the last thing that I've had done was the alignment at Motion Motorsport. Now Motion Motorsport, I've known them for a long time, and they always make sure that they do a thorough job, and they found a few other things there, like the brake line, as you may have seen in the previous video, the steering rack boot, and some bolts that needed doing, and that cost me £250. So that is it. Let's total it up. One thing I haven't done was include the car, which cost me £2,900. So the car, obviously you need a car to actually do it with, something I completely forgot to include initially, but we'll include that as well. Now, something that I said previously in the other video is it is not the fastest car in the world, but it is so much fun, and it's such a good base if you want to do other things to it. You got a K20 in there. There's so many options that you can do for these. You can build them, keep them naturally aspirated, you can turbocharge them, supercharge them, you can literally get them 300 horsepower naturally aspirated if you want to, if you do the right things. But anyway, let's total things up and see how much it's cost.
A few moments later.
Okay. So to do this conversion, not including the car, is £18,862.20, and that is what I've put into this to get it to how it is, but it doesn't include the car, plus 2,900 for the car. And I bought this car when it was quite low. They have gone up in price, so again, you know, you got to budget for that as well if you want to buy one. So in total, £21,762.20. So yeah, quite a lot of money. But is it worth it? Yes, because one, it's a hobby. Two, you can have so much fun in these, and it's such a good base to start on. And you got a Clio chassis. Clio chassis are renowned for the handling. The handling of them is absolutely brilliant. And you got a K20, you could get 400 horsepower out of these by just chucking a couple of grand turbo kit on if you want to. So yeah, quite expensive. I thought it would be around that mark, to be fair, but it's just one of them, and it's what happens when we're petrol heads and we like ploughing money. It's a hobby at the end of the day, so we've got to do it. I don't regret doing this at all. It has taken longer than I thought it would, but the end result is good, and I think a lot of the time good things do take time, as I've said before. But there is a couple of regrets that I wish I would have done, and I'll go through them now. So one thing that you might be able to see, when the engine went in, I didn't have the gearbox and the engine painted in silver, and it's something I wish I really would have done. Wish I would have had it fully stripped down and had it all painted so it looked a lot cleaner. I mean, it looks fairly clean anyway, but that's one gripe that I wish I would have done. One other thing is I wish I would have also researched it a little bit more. I mean, K20s now have just like gone through the roof. They are so expensive, and K24s seem to be the way to go. The K24s, they don't rev as high, but you can change them a little bit, and you can even put a K20 head on them so they do rev a little bit higher. But K24s offer more torque. Now more torque means you're going to be getting out the corner quicker, really, and I think that's one thing you got to really rev this to go. And I think having that extra bit of torque from a K24 would make the world of difference, and K24s at the moment are a lot cheaper than the K20. So I mean, it's something to think about. One thing I do wish I would have done was just put some the ducting on before doing the track day, just making sure that the brakes weren't overheating as such, so they did feel a little bit better. And as you might have seen from the track day, I had a few fuel surge moments. That's probably my fault, to be fair, for making it run lower than half a tank of fuel. So you can do a few things to the fuel tank to stop that. That might be something that I'll do in the future, and it's what they actually do in the Civic Cups, and I think to some of the Civic trophies as well. So that is something to consider when doing one of these. But yeah, what do I do next? It's one of them ones. I'd love to try a few things, maybe even go down the throttle body route, or even try it at forced induction, but I think NA is the way with this one. I really do. So we're going to wrap that video up there, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it was beneficial to you guys, so you actually know what you're getting into and how much it is going to cost. But please like, comment and subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one. Cheers.